Greetings, everyone. It is time for another episode of Dallas Cowboys Overtime here on StarTelegram.com. Before we get into any subject, I want to extend a formal apology to my friend, Mr. Clarence E. Hill Jr., and all the viewers out there who were expecting this video to land on a Tuesday, which is normally when we do this. However, I was driving back yesterday from New Orleans. Clarence, what happened in New Orleans on Saturday and Monday night?
Cheaters win.
Yes, they do.
Cheaters win. The NCAA is coming for Kansas, okay?
Yes, and that's true. And they will be met with...
This will be vacated. This will be vacated.
And they will be met by a flock of Jayhawk-wearing lawyers who will countersue and appeal this thing to death.
But congratulations. Congratulations. I'm glad you got to witness. Is this the first one you witnessed?
Pardon?
This is the first one you've witnessed?
No, actually, I was lucky enough. I went down to, since I am a Kansas alumni grad, I was lucky enough to go down to San Antonio in 2008 when they beat Memphis, which I believe that Final Four appearance was vacated because of NCAA penalty. I think that was whatever that means. I don't know how you vacate a game, but they apparently had to vacate that. And I was at that game. Now, the funny part about it was I was with an old college roommate, and maybe you can relate to this on some experience. Kansas was down 9 in that game against Memphis with 3 minutes to go. And I told my friend, let's just leave. Let's beat traffic. We didn't leave.
Okay.
So thank God we didn't leave. And I got to see that historical Mario Chalmers shot. On Monday night in New Orleans, I'm with my two buddies. One of them had flown in from Denver, and they're getting their butts kicked by 15 against North Carolina. I'm like, this is probably over. And I'd already had a lot to drink that day, which is I am really paying for, even up to including right now. And I thought, well, okay, maybe I'll go get one more drink just to, drown my sorrows in this horrible butt kicking. So I told myself, Clarence, if they don't do anything here in the first 4 minutes of the second half, I'm going to go get another drink. Thank God they did, because I don't know how I'd be feeling right now. I feel pretty awful. Have you ever had one of those experiences on Bourbon Street?
No, I don't drink that much. I don't really have those kind of experiences. But so did you party on Bourbon Street after the game?
Yeah, I did not for very long, though, because we had to get up really, really early the next morning and leave. So I stayed up until about 1:15 or 1:30. So, I mean, it was still going when we left. But one of my other roommates from college, he stayed out until 4:30, and we had to get up at 7:30 to leave. He wasn't doing that good when I saw him. Only 2.5 hours worth of sleep. And I don't think he remembered very much. But it was a hell of a lot of fun to go to. Clarence, my ticket was so bad. Like, I bought a ticket from I don't even know who I bought it from. And I was on the first level. My ticket was so bad. You were closer to the floor from your house in Fort Worth than I was. And I was in the stadium in New Orleans.
Yeah, but it's something about being in the house. And one of my biggest regrets in life is that when Texas played USC, I had to work and cover Bill Parcells. Did not go and cover Texas USC, or did not go to the game, make an attempt to go to the game because I was devoted to my job and all this other stuff. And you had a chance to drive down. It was close enough to go, but being in the house is important. I like to be, I tell Cowboy fans, just being, even if you have to go stand, being in the house for an historic moment, it just feels good. It's something different, even if you don't see it, just being a part of it. So
yeah, you're right. I don't know if I would have agreed with you before, but after because Clarence, the seat was so bad. At one point, there was one KU player made a shot because they were on the far basket and we were on the other side. We looked at each other. We said, "Did that ball go in?" We couldn't even tell if the ball went in.
Yeah, but the celebration with your parents afterwards in that building where the confetti's coming down.
Yep, you're right.
You can't beat that moment.
No, that was a lot of fun. Well, it was fun. Thanks for letting me brag on that for a few minutes here on Cowboys Overtime. The offseason for the Dallas Cowboys continues to motor on at the pace of an injured snail. I don't know how this team is necessarily getting any better, but maybe you can explain that. We have fans who are mad in a way that I haven't heard. We have ex-players, including Michael Irvin, who sounds pretty frustrated. And now the Dallas Cowboys go out and announce a ticket price hike for 2022. Clarence, you've covered this team for a long time. Can you recall an offseason quite as chaotic and as negative sounding as this?
Well, yeah. therein lies the devil is in the details. They're chaotic. There's been chaotic off seasons.
Yeah,
We've had
you're
chaos.
right.
It's the negativity to go with the chaos that makes this off season unique to a certain extent, because you're doing nothing to improve the team, and there's all this other stuff off the field stuff. Because we've had plenty chaos going back to the Michael Irvin being arrested days and everything else. So I've been through chaotic off seasons. It's just that the hope for the team, there was still something to feel good about it. And just my understanding and just polling, not official polling, unofficial polling of the fan base, based on people on the streets, based on people on social media, they're frustrated and disillusioned and don't have a lot to feel good about. Michael Irvin is one of the biggest supporters, homers on TV of the Cowboys, and he doesn't understand what they're doing. He says they are a lesser team, and he said you have to be, for a lesser team to get better, you have to have the will and the passion to overcome it. And I say, well, do they have the will and passion? No, I don't see it. He didn't even see the will and passion. He said the players aren't hurting the way the fans, and he was hurting after that loss. He doesn't see it. So, that's,
do you believe that? I mean, you've been around those. Michael Irvin wears
his
emotion on
it's all about perspective, how you wear it.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, we don't see them wear it. I mean, we saw their frustration when Dak went out to the officials and everything else, but we haven't seen the pain, the awareness, and as he talked about, when I talked to him, like, people, they think they've done something. They think they're special. Wait till they win something. They've never won anything, and they will really know how special they could be and are if they've done that. But there's some satisfaction of being a Cowboy in Dallas.
Clarence, when the Cowboys moved into AT&T Stadium, they upsized from like a 65,000 seat venue or whatever that was at Texas Stadium to a venue that can hold over 90,000 fans. And since they've moved in there, they've really only had, I think, one or two really dog years, right? Really years where you would think, boy, how are they going to fill this place up? Well, this is the first time I can remember since they've moved into this place where I thought, would they really struggle selling tickets? Would they really struggle filling that place up?
No.
You don't think so?
No, because opposing fans will fill it up. That's the thing about it, is that, and that's been the problem all along, is that, Cowboy fans or opposing fans, people come into the stadium. People, and opposing fans want to come and fill it up and beat the Cowboys, be in the stadium. But, Jerry's still making money. That's the greatest upset in sports history, is they built this team into the richest franchise in sports history, built a great stadium, built a practice facility, and they won nothing.
Yep. Isn't that amazing?
And they stay on TV, and they won nothing. I mean, he built that stadium in a depression. They won nothing, and they paid it off. And then they got the practice facility, which is, has no equals, and people still come. They flock. They sell tickets. They sell tours. People want a piece of the Cowboys because of the way they're marketed.
Yep.
But they've done nothing on the field. Just think how much money the Cowboys would make if they won something.
Oh my gosh! And you and I have talked about this a couple times and this season was one of them. And I know, talking to members of the front office, they talk about the monster when they start winning. Man, October, November, December, they can't keep stores stocked with Cowboys merchandise. And it's unlike, I remember the first time I was ever really around it, I think in 2006, but really 2007, that first season under Wade Phillips, Clarence. And it was unlike anything that I had seen since I'd moved here in 96. You can speak to it. You've lived here longer than I have. It is the most mystifying thing to me in the world, is how the Cowboys remain the most profitable brand in North American sports without winning. Can you think of anything else like it?
No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It is a testimony to Jerry's genius, but it also speaks to the fact that, that's why he doesn't want to tank. That's why he doesn't want to go. That's why he never wants to be in position to have a number one overall pick to get a quarterback. Why I always fell into quarterbacks, because he didn't want to lose. He didn't want the Cowboys never to be out of contention. Now, if they're in contention, they're talked about. Are they have a winning team? You can never get to the top, but they're always in the hunt. They're always in the picture. To me, that's been good enough for the ownership. Maybe not good enough for the fan base.
Yeah, and for the last 15, 17 years, Clarence, unlike some other teams, the Bengals, for a lot of times, the Lions forever, Washington, Jacksonville, the Cowboys are usually playing relevant games in December, and that has value, but it hasn't netted anything of significance in January and certainly not February. You mentioned the draft. Let's move on to that subject. We are about a month away or so from the NFL draft. Clarence, the Cowboys famously have passed on really upgrading their team dramatically with veterans or trades or anything like that. They hit on a home run last season and upgraded in the draft with Micah Parsons. They did 2 seasons ago with Trayvon Diggs and a second-round draft pick. Are you buying that they're going to upgrade dramatically through the 2022 NFL draft?
Well, that's just the problem because Parsons was top 10, top 12 pick,
right?
And you're picking at 24. So, it's hard to say you're going to get an impact player like Michael Parsons at 24. Although Des Bryant came to the team at 24.
Well, what was CD 17?
CD was 17.
CD was 17. Diggs was a second-round pick. I mean, it's possible, but
no, it's possible.
Can you really bank on it?
No, you can't bank on it because you don't know. Again, you're at the liberty of what's available. The good news is the Cowboys will have a lot of options available at 24, and just looking at some of the guys that they could have available. Talking to Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, obviously offensive line is the biggest need because they don't have a left guard. After the great Connor Williams is gone, it's funny. You get rid of, we kick his butt. You get rid of Connor Williams. You still haven't replaced him. Connor Williams is not Connor Williams. They say they want to add a guy in free agency, but they still have not moved on a veteran in free agency. Again, who? There are questions at center with Tyler Biadasz, whether they should, upgrade there. They don't have a swing tackle. You get rid of Leo Collins and you're going with Terrence Steele and Tyron Smith won't play a full season. And at some point you're going to have to try to find a replacement for him because he's not going to play forever. So you have big needs up front and you need to rebuild the line. That was the biggest problem down the stretch. But Mark Cooper's gone and the receiving core is not as good. And Michael Gallup will miss the first 2 or 3 games of the season. And you have needs there. Pass rusher, huge needs at pass rusher because you lost Randy Gregory. You still have some questions there. You've done some things for agency, but based on the contract, you're not expecting much.
Okay, I wrote down a handful of draft needs by position. I did not include general manager. Rank them for me. Of the ones I'm going to give you, rank them for me. You mentioned a couple of them already. Center, guard, tackle, defensive end, kicker, tight end, defensive tackle, wide receiver. Rank those. Where would
they need? And you forgot linebackers. They need help in linebackers.
Do we have to include linebacker again? It's every year.
Well, you can say the same.
Okay, I will. Linebacker. I'm adding it. This is my list.
I will use help at cornerback. I will use help at pass rusher. You can never have too many pass rushers. To me, the biggest need is guard, just because the hole is there. Receiver. It's a need, but also they have some potential to get some special players who can be available, whether it's Chris Olave of Ohio State or Traylon Burks of Arkansas. Jared may finally get his Arkansas guy. Again, I outlined the question that you have at tackle because you have to plan for the future there. Defensive tackle, defensive end, you could use help up front. You can always use guys who can get to the quarterback. So those are needs. I don't think there's a huge need at safety. You're never going to have too many cornerbacks. Kicker is a need, but they're probably going to go with a veteran. They're not going to draft a kicker.
All right, let's move on to the next one. I hope you're ready to do this because I always really admire people who take on this next subject. I tried to do it one time, and I was awful at it. That was several years ago, and my appreciation for people who do mock drafts went from here to about a there because there's so much work involved in it and trying to figure out who's going to take whom and needs and does this guy fit. Do you have a mock draft for us? Have you dipped your toe?
I've done a mock draft. We'll run in tomorrow's paper. You want
to give me a bit of a preview? What am I going to look forward to?
Well,
because like I said, this is hard.
We'll keep it local, and I have the Cowboys in my first one. Of course, you have to have several, and they all won't be the same.
Right.
But I have the Cowboys quenching that thirst at receiver. Clearly, the Cowboys, they let Amari Cooper go. They signed James Washington. Stephen Jones revealed that Michael Gallup may miss 2 or 3 games, and they couldn't keep Cooper because they had to keep Gallup, even though Gallup is not going to have to re-sign Gallup in his contract, even though he's going to miss 2 or 3 games.
Right. And they lost Cedric Wilson to Miami.
And coming off ACL, you're really not better until your second year after the surgery, not your first year. But hey, you couldn't keep Cooper because he cost too much. Of course, lo and behold, as of now, as of the new contract for Diggs in Buffalo, Cooper's now the 7th or 8th highest paid receiver. His money is not as big a deal as the Cowboys are making it out to be, because you got receivers making $30 million and $28 million.
It's just crazy to me. I mean, Tyreek Hill gets $1 billion. Stephon Diggs gets $1 trillion. All these guys are getting money. Cooper Kupp hasn't done his contract yet. In light of the fact, Clarence, all these guys are getting money. Do you think Stephen Jones, he would never admit it, do you think Stephen Jones or any of those guys are looking at each other like, oh my God, we didn't need to do this in terms of trading Amari?
I think that on paper, to me, they would say that, but I don't know if at the end of the day, Amari was their cup of tea.
That was the reason I thought they let go. I don't think they liked it.
I think that at the end of the day, Amari rubbed them the wrong way. Lack of passion, perceived lack of passion, whatever, not getting the shot, all of that, not showing up in big games, making the money, but the numbers were there, the production was there, certainly the last 2 years, not this past year. All of that is part of the equation. But the bottom line is, the goal to me is not to balance the checkbook. The goal is not to, he was good for the people, loved him. The goal is to put the best players on the field. And the Cowboys are lesser talented at receiver. And the fact that they even in this past weekend tried to get involved with the trade for Devontae Parker from Miami before he went to the Patriots. Now, basically, the Patriots gave up a 3rd-round pick for him. Just think about this. And I know the money was a factor, but the Patriots, the Dolphins got a 3rd-round pick for Devontae Parker. The Cowboys basically got a 5th for Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is a better player.
Oh, you're 100% right. And the fact that you said that wide receiver, I don't think they'll do it. They could. I don't think they will. The fact that wide receiver is in play.
2 years after signing a draft season.
I mean, think about this. They used a 3 on Michael Gallup, right? Mm-hmm. They used essentially a 1st-round pick on Amari Cooper. They traded their 1st-round pick to Oakland then to get Amari Cooper. So he's a 1. CeeDee Lamb is a 1. Are you kidding me that they might spend another 1st-round pick on a wide receiver when they've already invested that much?
Yeah, it's in play. There's no question it's in play. And you can see, based on the guys they've had come in there for the 30 visits, and they got the 3 top wide receivers who are visiting the Cowboys this week with Chris Olave. Again, I talked about Burks from Arkansas and London out of USC. And in my first mock draft, I have the Cowboys going with Olave. He's a route running demon who kind of plays like Amari Cooper. I mean,
a route running demon, huh?
But plays like Amari Cooper. But he's a guy that could be in play for them Cowboys if he falls that far, because he could go higher than that at 24. But Treylon Burks out of Arkansas, a big play guy, and London at USC are guys are looking at. But the bottom line is they're going to draft their receiver. What's the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round? They're going to get a receiver high because the need is there. The bigger need to me is at guard, but I don't know if one of those special receivers drop. I don't know if the guard is as special as the receiver can be, although if it's a bigger need for this team.
To me, their bigger need is left tackle. I think this Tyron Smith thing is going to really bite him in the butt. I know he wants to keep playing and he wants to be, a great pro and all that.
Yeah, but you can't draft the left tackle in the 1st round and not start him this year.
No, start him at right tackle and move Terrence Seal back to swing tackle. I'm sorry, I just can't buy the
fact and you still need help at guard. You still need help at receiver. And
they have too many. Every team does it. They have too many needs, and the whole idea is your quarterback's good enough, and you have other pieces that can compensate for those weaknesses. And what we're looking at right now is too many needs and not enough fingers for all the holes that are spilling water. Clarence, this was fun. Thank you very much for humoring me, allowing me to rub in your beautiful face that my team is a national championship. And I'm not going to allow you to claim conference affiliation.
Big 12, baby. Big 12. I was rooting for the Big 12.
Yeah, always rooting for the Big 12.
I was rooting for the Big 12. You're back to back. I know you were making excuses for Baylor. Look, if I was thinking Baylor, you don't need to make excuses for Baylor.
I'm not making excuses for Baylor. There's nothing about that. There's nothing about that. You and I both know.
It doesn't stop. No.
Listen,
win the games.
Carolina was as much. Carolina is an 8 seed. Okay, name me the last team that won a national championship as an 8 seed. It only happened once. Can you name them?
And North Carolina didn't win ultimately.
Well, okay. Name me the last team. It was an 8 seed, and it was Villanova.
Kansas. They should have lost to Baylor because they gave up a big lead. They got tired. This was a flawed team. That team went one and done last year. Raw Williams last year.
I don't want to hear that.
They lost, and their best player transferred to Auburn. No one saw this coming.
I don't care about it coming. It's North Carolina. The idea that they're an 8 seed was preposterous. Carolina, that team, that much talent, that was a 7 or 6, and you and I both know it.
Season, win the games. You guys won. Happy for you.
Yeah, and you know what? I thought coming in that they were either going to – I didn't make any plans for it. I hadn't planned on it. I was like, they're going to lose in the Sweet 16 or Elite 8, and I'm not going to worry about it. And then I get a phone call. Okay, you're coming to New Orleans. You're coming to New Orleans. I'm like, oh, God, no, I'm not. So when they won, I told my buddy, maybe you've been in this situation. I told my friend Chris, and I said, I'm not going unless this guy comes. 5 minutes later, my friend from Denver doesn't go anywhere. Back, we're going. I'm like, okay, looks like I'm going.
I just want to know how you got away with it with your wife and daughter.
That's true. I was encouraged to do it. I think after 2 years of COVID, I was more than encouraged to get out of here for a little bit. So it was great. Well, thank you very much, Clarence. It's good talking to you as always. Make sure to join us here on Dallas Cowboys Overtime next week here on StarTelegram.com. Make sure to check out Clarence's mock draft on StarTelegram.com. And for all of your Cowboys needs, check us out there again, too. See you next week.